The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is time for Break the Business, where we empower indie creators and have some fun along the way. I'm Ryan Kairalla, and it is a pleasure to have you here this week. I am joined happily by Evan and Elisa. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Oh, so good to see you all. I miss you. This time that passes in between weeks is like me crawling through a desert where I get to talk about the entertainment industry and empower indie musicians with my two favorite people. And how are you guys?
When are they coming on? Reach for your soundboard. You know I earned it.
Here's why you've earned it, Evan.
Oh no.
My lawyer nerd friends who listen to this, mainly, I do everything I can to keep it from them because, like, I don't want like lawyers to know that I, do this kind of silly,
might be
frivolous
cool
stuff because they're, yeah, exactly. God forbid. But the ones who do listen to it, they love you guys and especially Evan way more than they love me.
Oh yeah, heart of the show.
They're like, you guys have you Ryan have surrounded yourself with, especially Evan. Just, oh my God.
Fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I'm not that cocky. You don't need to blow me up. It's not going to help.
Everything about this show is great in terms of the people involved. You two, awesome. So excited to have you through this whole show. But we're bringing extra firepower. Our guest this week, my goodness gracious, so happy to be joined by country artist Dave Herrera. He's going to be joining us a little bit later in the show. He is a great musician, but he's also a real estate expert. He specializes in commercial music venues. I know this is something that's very important to you, Evan. You work with these kind of venues for a living.
Yep.
I'm sure you want to ask him a ton of questions. I'm excited to learn a lot about him. And frankly, I'm always interested in the side hustles of many of the musicians that we bring on this program. It's one of the most interesting things that I find about the guests that we have is they always have some other thing that they do.
Working with those venues is my side hustle.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we've never had a real estate person on, so this is going. We are breaking new ground. Even 5 years into making this podcast,
That's wild. I have other musician friends that have made the same turn, and not even just during COVID. Like 3 years leading up to it, 3 of my friends got their license to real estate. I don't even know how that works, but it seems to be a common thing.
Ever.
They're just used to driving, I guess. So they're like, I could drive to a house instead of a bar. Let's do it.
Well, musicians spend their whole career being judgmental about whatever venue they're in, so you might as well just make a living out of it.
That is so true.
Well, that's going to be coming up a little bit later. But before we bring Dave in, I want to talk about another person that I'm a really big fan of who wrote an awesome article that I just want to gush about because it's got great info for indie artists. One of the friends of our podcast, guys, is a journalist named Sherry who's been on the show quite a few times. She did the Break the Business telethon with us a few weeks back. And now, after being a freelancer for Billboard and Forbes and Rolling Stone and all these different publications, went the indie artist route, started her own music tech journalism Patreon. Ooh. Where basically she's like, I'm writing these amazing articles. I bet people will be willing to subscribe to get them on a regular basis. And she's absolutely right. And her blog, Water and Music, which is under a Patreon thing, is doing really well. And she's one of the most respected, if not the most respected tech journalist in music going right now. Certainly, if I'm making my music tech journalist power rankings, she's at the top. And here's what's amazing / sort of frustrating for me about it. And I think you guys are going to feel the same feeling about this. She's like 25.
Of course she
Beans.
is.
I don't know her exact age, but it's somewhere in that zone. And when I list her accomplishments, you're going to be like proud of her / hate yourself.
Hate myself.
Yeah.
No, we'll just go straight to the hating myself part.
All right. Well, then here you go. Let me
it's
run
wonderful
down.
to be 25 because I feel like I went from 18 to 32. I never got those middle years. That's not fair.
Well, let me tell you what she did with these middle years. Let me count the ways you should hate yourself. All right.
Oof.
She's a graduate from Juilliard and Harvard.
Oh.
And when she wasn't doing these music tech journalist stuff, getting published in every major publication, she was a classically trained virtuoso pianist, has played all over the world. She's an adjunct professor at NYU's Tisch School. That's exactly
25. Okay.
She's got like this is the life we all want. But and now she has this awesome Patreon that she's doing amazing things with. And I don't want to dedicate this whole segment to just gushing about how cool this person is, but I do want to talk about her.
She sounds
we
rad.
could, yeah. You know what? Let me just throw out the topic because this is even more important. Now, I want to talk about the article she wrote most recently in Water and Music because it is so important for indie artists, and it's a topic that's really roiling right now. It's super pertinent to you two specifically because this is what y'all are up to right now. She summarized the legal, let's call it mess, to be generous. To be less generous, let's call it like just a dumpster fire of dumpster fires. Like a tire fire with a dumpster fire in it. And that's what the current state of the thing is. And of course, just to like frustrate me, she explained the current legal state of live streaming and music better than me, a lawyer, ever could, which,
Right.
Just naturally makes me want to hate myself too. But she wrote this really important article that underscores this really tough position that indie creators are in, where every time you play a note of music on a platform like Twitch, on a platform like YouTube, on a platform like Facebook, you're undergoing legal risks, and they're needless legal risks because there is a confusing copyright world right now in terms of, say, covering music on Twitch, but it doesn't have to be. As we're going to talk about, these major tech companies are very much in a position to simplify these things, to solve these problems, to work out deals so that artists aren't in a questionable space, but they are because these things aren't being sorted out, and she talks all about it in her article. But and it gets to something that I talk about a lot in my legal practice with clients, because I have clients, musician clients, who come to me all the time, and they're like, am I allowed to cover songs on Twitch? Am I allowed to play a recording of somebody else's song on Twitch? If I'm streaming, playing a video game, what are the rules there? What are the lines there? And I can give them a guess. I can point them to the Twitch terms of service. I can research the copyright law the best I can. But unfortunately, the best I can give them as a lawyer is just an educated guess because there aren't solid answers out there. And any lawyer who purports to saying, oh, I know what the rules are, they're selling you a bill of goods because we're all just faking it right now.
Yeah.
And so like here's the best way I can sort of summarize it in terms of what I'm almost positive you can't do, what I'm almost positive you can do as an artist, and what's kind of in the middle. So, artist, I want to play my own songs, which I wrote and own the rights to 100%. I want to play those on my Twitch stream, on my Facebook live stream, on my YouTube live stream. Absolutely, that's okay. No
Not true.
problem.
Not true.
What?
No,
because you're going to talk about Metallica, aren't you?
No, not at all. Actually, in the middle of whatever this Band-Aid will say is Facebook changed their terms of service and decided that Facebook is not, you're not allowed to create a listening environment on Facebook. So at any point, if your band, if my band, if Try More Mojo plays a live stream through Facebook or my venue, if we do a live stream through Facebook, at any point they could come in and say, well, you're against our terms of service and we're shutting you down, we're taking away we're locking your page, we're canceling everything you've ever done. Facebook has destroyed the music live streaming service. So,
man, that is a really good point. And what you're pointing out there, Evan, is a symptom of this greater problem, is that the tech companies, the ones that we're using right now, so I hope they don't shut us down, but these tech companies have created this questionable environment where artists aren't sure what to do. And instead of taking the affirmative steps with the music industry to fix the problem, they are being overly tough on the artists and creating crazy rules like you can't host listening parties with your own music because they are being abundance of caution on the other end rather than just work out deals with the global music industries. That's a good point. But now on the other side of it, in terms of stuff you definitely, can't do, a lot of artists are running into issues where when they play sound recordings on their live stream or for on demand later, you're almost always going to run into problems there because those are situations where there hasn't been any sort of synchronization licenses set up. The tech companies, the Twitches, the Facebooks, they may have worked out a deal with the record label, and sometimes they do, but we don't know that. There's no list of songs that we know are safe to use, and we see it a lot of the times with gamers where you are, playing a song that's in your video game, and then your stream gets muted, and you're like, I'm just playing the game, and the gaming company says I can play the game, but I can't play the music in the game, and I'm sure that's something you guys have never experienced before in your life.
No. It's not like we gained Twitch affiliate status and the ability to monetize on this platform off of a game that is solely all about synchronizing your gameplay to a track. It's not like that was the cause of our popularity and will now doom us. It's not like we have any experience with that sort of Damocles at all.
Yes, it is. It's a big problem, and it's only going to be a bigger problem as more artists are getting onto Twitch, as more people are streaming games on Twitch, and as more of these sound recordings get onto Twitch. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, but Twitch's entire business plan is illegal. Their entire business plan is against the law. It's against all copyright laws. So you shouldn't. Well, legally, you can't live stream any game. You can't do almost anything that happens on Twitch. The only reason it still operates is because those specific game companies decided that it's totally cool for you to do that. And I don't know if the music industry is going to come around to that. They've seemed very.
There is an example of, I think, Fuser, which is the latest Harmonix game, which is a game that's basically, like Girl Talk, Neil Cicierega mashup simulator. And it's great, the kinds of stuff that you're able to do with these licensed tracks. But I believe as part of their terms of service, they have a section where they're like, these are the songs you can play, nothing else. And like, you have to lay those out. And maybe it's because, they're a company that's like, well, the entire, what happens then with these music game companies now is that, cool, now there's an entire marketing arm that is used by our entire industry that we can't touch. Like literally the biggest, it's like tell Coke that they can't have a Super Bowl ad anymore. You know what I mean? Like you are cutting people off from like a primary source of advertising too, which sucks on the game dev end as well.
Yeah. And because these tech platforms aren't willing to, strike some sort of grand bargain with the global music industry to sort this stuff out, it winds up heaping more risk and more frustration on the individual performers in the form of either getting your stream muted randomly one day or that massive DMCA apocalypse that happened on Twitch a few months back where a whole bunch of people just suddenly got a bunch of copyright strikes.
Your channel.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know you're a millionaire right now and you make $50,000 a day or whatever doing this, but by the way, you can't do that anymore.
Bye.
Yeah. And people losing their accounts overnight or getting getting all their videos deleted overnight and or just getting frustrated because when you try to read the terms of service to figure out what the line is, nobody knows. And the best example of trying to figure out where the line is and not getting clear answers is something that a lot of performers do on live stream more and more, especially on Twitch, which is performing cover songs on Twitch. And I have artists come to me all the time and say, "Can I play covers on Twitch?" And I go, ? If you go on Twitch's terms of service, it's the most unclear answer because they say
design.
Right, because in a lot of cases they don't know. And here's the thing, like Twitch can't even be 100% sure that every cover you're going to play is legitimate because even if they got like the ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC licenses to do broad public performances in the same way that the local bar down your street has the public performance licenses so you can play covers at a bar, even if they had that, the law itself is still not clear as to whether or not you also need a synchronization license for a live stream. There are some lawyers who say you do. There's some that say you don't. And nobody really knows the answer for sure. And so everybody could be sort of in violation and not even know it. And so what I often tell artists as a precautionary measure, one of the things that you can do is understand that if you're playing covers on Twitch, it's sort of uneasy ground, but for the most part, we're not seeing a lot of artists getting come after by the global music industry. And I think that's mainly because the global music industry knows that there isn't a lot of money to be had here and you're not charging admission. If you are going to set up a show, a formal kind of concert type show where you're going to be charging admission, the recommendation I give to clients is to use a platform like StageIt or Stellar, which are these platforms that set up like actual virtual concerts that you can live stream. Because what you can do with StageIt and Stellar is before you do your show, you can send StageIt and Stellar a list of the covers that you're going to play.
Oh, that's huge.
Yes. And then they'll check their list and check because they have all the PRO licenses, but they'll be like, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. And if you have something that's not on their list, they'll go, you can't play this one unless you get separate okay, which means you can't play because you're not going to go to the publishing company and pay $1 bajillion. But that's the way to sort of make sure that you are super protected in the cases where you're, setting up a show where you're charging money for it. But it's still a very messy situation. Here's the big kind of take home in all of this that I just can't emphasize enough, which is it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't, when we think about like the tech companies, the Facebook, the Google, and the Amazon going up against the global music industry, like the conventional wisdom might suggest, oh, these are like, it's going to be like Godzilla and King Kong, like evenly matched, fighting each other out. And the big tech companies have to be afraid of that because how could they go up against all these major music companies? But that's not what this is. It's not Godzilla and King Kong. It's like Godzilla and like a King Kong action figure.
Or like T-Rex or something like, oh, wow, Godzilla's 300 feet tall. Go get him, T-Rex or Velociraptors or whatever.
Because the global music industry, relative to these tech companies, tiny. Yeah. All right? So I had to look this up, and I had to triple check it because I didn't believe it, okay? The total annual revenue of the global music industry last year, $53 billion. Global annual revenue of Amazon, just Amazon, none of the other companies, $387 billion. How about this for a stat? If you take it based on annual revenues, Amazon, Google, and Facebook combined could buy the global music industry 11 times and still have enough money left over to equal the gross domestic product of Lithuania.
Why you gotta rag on Lithuania though? They're so nice. I can't believe you go after such nice people, Ryan.
But this
You're
is
gonna
what
get
I'm
canceled
saying.
over that, Ryan.
If these big companies, much love to Lithuania. If these big companies wanted to sort this out for artists, they could absolutely get the global music industry in a room and say, y'all need us. We're bigger than you. Let's work out a grand deal with the record labels, with the publishing companies. Let's set something out. Let's strike a grand bargain. Let's lobby Congress if there are ambiguities in the law that need to be sorted out. Let's figure it out so that indie creators aren't living in this weird gray area space.
Try to involve Congress if you want something to happen in about 30 years. Go for it. Yeah, but don't just let them work it out in the private sector.
But it's going to take a little bit of both, except when we talk about like copyright law.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Like when people need to get $1,400 or $2,000 checks, that takes forever.
Yeah.
When the big companies want a copyright law passed, those dudes hustle. Friggin', like all these old members of Congress, like Charles Grassley, who's like 1,000 years old. You tell him like Disney needs a copyright law passed, that dude is sprinting. They make it happen. We get the Music Modernization Act. Bam, no problem.
Not Steamboat Willie, no.
Chuck Grassley sprinting through the halls of Congress.
Oh, yeah. We need the Music Modernization Act passed. Boom, they get
I don't
it
know
done.
what any of these words mean. Pass it.
Yeah. Disney wants an extra 20 years on its copyright. You got it, Mr. Mouse.
I love that mouse.
So they could do this, but I think for at least in Twitch's case, Twitch is still in growth mode, right? So they want to get even bigger before they make this big play. But in the meantime, artists are getting caught in the crossfire, and that's not cool.
No, wait. You just said Twitch is in growth mode. It's owned by Amazon.
Yeah.
Right, but like you think this is its final form?
No, not even close. But they have all the money in the world. They have all the money to go after, but strike a deal with all the rest of the music industry. I have a question for you though, because you're my lawyer. As an artist,
The legal views expressed in this podcast.
Do I have to play the disclaimer again?
no, it's only between you and me. Everybody, don't listen. Fast forward in the podcast. I don't even know.
Earmuffs, everybody.
Nobody's listened.
No, I'm
to
going
me.
to talk too much and forget what I was going to say. No, so as an artist, I know that there's ways for me to whitelist somebody's YouTube channel. You know, that is possible. It's really hard to do, but I say, hey, if my band played the venue I work at or a venue I work at, and they live streamed it on YouTube, there is a way somehow for me to go through my publisher, who's CD Baby or whatever, and say, hey, I know that I know that we're going to play our music on their thing and just let it slide, right? As an artist, is there any way, maybe I'd have to be Taylor Swift or somebody huge, but can I strike a deal and say, hey, anybody can live stream my stuff all the time, anywhere, I don't care?
You do see that with, this is actually how things happen with YouTube a lot. So there are a lot of artists who their music gets played on YouTube a bunch, either in the form of cover songs or people just playing their music in the background to whatever their YouTube video is. And many artists will do the DMCA notice and takedown song and dance. But other artists will go, you know what? I kind of like the exposure that this is getting. I like it when my fans are covering my material. And perhaps I even see a revenue opportunity here. And so I'm going to have my label/publisher reach out to YouTube and set up a deal where they're going to stick a commercial in the front of the video and I'll make some money off that. Or they just generally give their permission. Taylor Swift is a great example of this. Taylor Swift doesn't mind if you cover her stuff on YouTube. She's super cool about it because she wants her Swifties to spread the gospel of, the songs that make us all feel. And so she'll let any one of her fans cover her material.
Ryan Kairalla, largest Swiftie.
Oh, gosh.
President of the fan club.
Just voice of our generation. Just, oh, my God. I adore her. I do adore not even just because of her music, but just in terms of how, badass she is about protecting her IP.
That is a whole conversation that I didn't even realize was a topic because I just wanted to straight up shout out to her for threading the needle on her re-records because I heard the new version of Love Story and she has thread the needle on making the production sound so much better and lifting it to 2021 standards, but still maintaining everything about the song in terms of instrumentation and the parts that make it sound like if you have the old version that is no longer owned by her, you are actually having an inferior version of that song. And that is brilliant on her part, because now, hopefully, she gets more people wanting Taylor's version. It's literally labeled Taylor's version on
Not
stuff.
Scooter's version.
Like it's literally labeled that. Like, I think she's doing a really good job of winning people over based on just the quality of the production of her re-records.
Also,
like, it's awesome.
Like, she's not old, but she's older, and her voice sounds so much better.
Her voice
it never
is
sounded
weird.
bad, clearly, but like, holy, it's just...
She's grown up.
It was great.
And but you said it so well, Elisa, when you called it threading the needle, because that's what this is. Like, you know, because for most artists, the first version of a recording that you hear, that's the version you fall in love with. If one of your favorite artists tried to put out a new version of a master that they did, you'd never be like, no, this isn't the original. Do you have any idea how hard it is for her to put out a new version that we all love? And I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh no, bring back the original." No, people love this new version of Love Story.
Well, they love the story of it too. Like, hey, I'm actually going to get paid.
Yeah,
for these
yeah.
now.
It's the personal story of supporting her as an artist, but then also the amount of restraint it takes as an artist to not mess with those parts after like over a decade, 15, 20 years.
Oh God, don't let me go back and re-record anything I've ever done.
Exactly.
You wouldn't even recognize it anymore.
So it's like, it's the restraint that she shows as an artist in not messing with it too much that is very admirable, and I just do not have.
You don't have that level of discipline.
So props to her.
Well, if we locked you in a log cabin with a bunch of indie rock musicians, like, could you put out like a double album over a pandemic?
Yes, twice.
Twice.
If I didn't have to worry about paying the bills, yeah. Twice.
Yeah.
Right on.
There's
Well,
that.
I did want to talk to you guys about movies, but
put a
let's
cork
talk
in
about
it.
movies. I do want to talk to you about movies.
Okay,
I was
never
going to
mind.
go to commercial, but I'm too excited about the movies that are coming out, and I know that I want to talk to you guys about it because you guys are my pop culture people. Elisa, I need to know what you think of the new Cruella trailer.
Okay. So Maleficent was kind of cool, you know, when they one, I'm just a fan of Angelina Jolie, so I'm just excited to see her and stuff. But Maleficent was an interesting story because you had no idea, for the most part, you didn't have much of an idea as to why she was super evil. She didn't get invited to a party, and she got super mad about it, and then made Sleeping Beauty's life hell. But you get this really cool origin story with Maleficent. I would love for somebody to do this with maybe an Ursula.
Ooh.
Cruella literally skins puppies. How is she the first one you greenlight to get a redemption arc origin story? Like, I don't know how you are going to make a puppy so evil that you are going to be excited about this girl boss transformation. This is not my feminism.
And that's the other problem. It's not just that it's a redemption story, but it's like they're trying to celebrate this as like a hashtag girl boss feminist hero story.
Who skins
but
puppies.
She skins puppies.
Literally skins puppies.
So I don't know if I've ever seen 101 Dalmatians. Is that really what happens in that movie?
She's trying to steal the puppies to turn
Right.
them into coats, man.
Disney's messed up, man.
I mean, it's G-rated, Evan. If your question is there a scene in the cartoon
wasn't the
101 Dalmatians
question. That wasn't
where,
the question.
where Cruella DeVille's got like a dead Dalmatian over her knee and she's just skinning it right there in front
And
of
a
you while
purchase order for a
Roger
coat
is
she's
just
gotta
has his
make.
jaw dropped?
I mean, is
the
Tim
answer is
Burton
yes. That
directing?
scene is absolutely in the movie.
Okay, good. Well, I'll go on YouTube and find it later.
If Tim Burton's directing, then
Oh my God! If Tim Burton was directing, it would absolutely have it, and she'd be singing.
she would be singing.
Just like really like dark minor chords with strings in the background.
It sucks because it's like gowns, beautiful gowns in the trailer, and it's like, but like, of all of the cool villains, and also like people can also just be bad. and irredeemable sometimes. Like, we don't have to sympathize with somebody who has
There's members of extended family I don't talk to. There are people
Like-
yeah.
We can all be staunch pro-female empowerment all the way,
Let's
and
do it with
all
Ursula.
draw the line at the girl who skins puppies.
We'll do it with Ursula. So now let's back to Little Mermaid. Who are we casting for Ursula?
Oof.
Who's it going to be? I already have the right answer.
This purchase would be so good because it has to be someone who can sing.
Yes. Oh,
If
God,
they-
yes.
If this can't be a full live action non-musical, like Ursula's singing is such a big part of it that
It's
you
the
can't
whole-
have her not sing.
I mean, that's good, but you can get somebody to dub her just like they did in The Lion King. The actual correct answer is Latrice Royale.
Oh! Shout out to Latrice Royale. That would actually be very perfect.
Exactly.
That'd be great. Because Ursula was based on the drag queen Divine, so I think in honor of the origin,
Even better.
in honor of the origin of the character, having an amazing singer drag queen as Ursula would be dope as hell. I think it'd be great.
All right. Yeah,
But
cast it.
and Ursula,
Skins puppies?
no,
Okay, good.
no, just maybe has questionable interpretations of contract law.
Okay. All right. Well, no, now what we're doing next
skins
week,
puppies.
we're going to go back and
Like, pick one.
I want to
they're
see
not
that
the
Little
same.
Mermaid contract.
Are either of you down? We're going to do a whole show on it next week. We're going to analyze the Little Mermaid contract. Are you guys Coming to America fans? Are you at all excited about the Coming to America sequel? I'm
Absolutely.
obsessed.
Haven't seen the movie in 20 years.
I'm
the first one.
I
Yeah.
am a fan of the movie in the sense that I know that it is like an absolute cultural touchstone, classic, etc. I am always wary of a sequel moment as just because of like
It's Taylor Swift redoing the thing. Like, you don't want them to screw this up.
you have to thread the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to give them exactly enough of what people expect, but at the same time, it can't. I hate watching a sequel that's just like, remember that joke from 30 years ago? Remember that other one?
Oh, that's
Remember that
that's
guy?
absolutely what it's going to be, by the way, because
Oh,
you
no.
already see in the trailer that they bring back Clarence the barber and all the guys in the barber shop, and they're doing all the callbacks. They're playing the hits, and
Who
this
does
is
Kevin
one of
Hart
my
play?
favorite comedies, and I still stop on it whenever it shows up. I love using the phrase "stop on it" as if anybody flips through channels anymore, but we really show our age there. But I have a feeling that I'm going to be disappointed by this because if they knew they had a hit on their hands, if they knew that this was going to be a solid gold comedy, it wouldn't be coming out on Amazon, right? They'd
That's
wait
the
until
other-
the pandemic's over
that's
and give
the
it a
other
theatrical
flag.
release.
I didn't know that.
That is the other flag, I think. Although it's weird because we're hitting that interesting point where streaming services are capable of delivering on prestige products. But I don't know if we're 100% there on trusting Amazon with that.
They got all the money.
They do,
I mean, they did a
do
good
have all
with
the money,
the
and they're
Mrs.
not
Maisel.
using it on negotiating licensing deals with the music industry. So hopefully they're putting it all into Eddie Murphy comedies. Dave Herrera coming up next. We'll see you in a bit here on Break the Business. Do not go anywhere. Ryan Kairalla here. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you're getting a lot out of it. I do what I do because I care about creators like you. A lot. I've dedicated my career to helping creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations move forward. I do it by hosting this program, and I'm also proud to do it in my legal practice. If you're a creative professional looking for solutions-oriented legal services to help you further your goals, I'd love to help. My firm RKPA does contracts, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Visit rkpalaw.com to learn more. That's rkpalaw.com. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA, Miami, Florida.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at Ryan Kair, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show. Thanks, me. Welcome back, everybody.
You're so chipper.
When I recorded that, it was right at the beginning of the day. I had my coffee. I was in like maximum chipper happy mood. By the time we do this, it's like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 Eastern. I don't have the same.
There is no energy.
I'm usually crushed under the full weight of how the music industry is just torturing indie artists, and it shows in my voice. But let's get back to the show. Joining us now on the program, he is an indie country rock artist and a real estate professional. A lot to like there. His latest single, Visiting Nashville, is available now. We are excited to have Dave Herrera joining us here on Break the Business. Hi, Dave.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. I want to ask you all about your music career, but we have to get to the more important questions first. How excited are you for the new Coming to America movie?
Honestly, I wasn't even aware it was coming out.
What? Were you a Coming to America fan back in the day? Did this movie do something for you?
Not much. I was more of a dirt bike kid, or that I don't know. I'd like the old classics like that when I was growing up. The Rad movie, when my family would bring that in and let us watch it. I was kind of grown up in a shell, man. So didn't get to the movies a lot.
Are there any movies now that you've gotten older and maybe gotten a few others under your belt, assuming we still lived in a world where people flip through channels, is there a movie that when it comes on the TV, you have to stop on it and just watch it all the way through and you're like, oh, there goes the next 2 hours of my day?
To answer your question, it's more of like a Dateline or 48 Hours.
Yeah.
I'm like an old soul, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh man,
like seriously, it's like a lot of my buddies play golf and stuff, and I'm like, dude, that takes up the whole day. I can get so much stuff done.
Thank you.
Man.
I
don't know.
watch so many murders.
Yeah, or learn new things, man. While I'm trying to get other stuff done. So,
does it surprise you, Evan and Elisa, that in addition to being a musician, he's licensed real estate professional? Because he clearly makes the most of his time. He's not engaged in frivolous pursuits like the rest of us. I want to talk to you about real estate stuff. Exactly. I want to talk to you about real estate stuff. But first, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about just the awesome music you're putting together. You got a new song out called Visiting Nashville. I dig it. I love it. It gets me hopping. I clap along with it, all that goofy music fan stuff.
It's a great video, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's such a cool video, like just all the shots and everything. There's something autobiographical almost that I sense from that movie or from that song, because you're a California guy, but this song's about how you took a trip through Nashville, and obviously your music is going to have some country roots in it. Tell us a little bit about what your mindset is with this song.
Yeah, okay, so when I visited Nashville for the first time in September of 2009 or 19, sorry. It was kind of a very diverse town. I expected lots of cowboy boots and just other things going on. But when we got there, it seemed like you'd go to the honky tonks and have your live musicians playing, just jamming out on some cool old school country songs, top 40 songs. And then you'd hit the second floor of like Luke Bryan's bar, and there'd be a full DJ playing top 40 dance rap music. So I'm like, man, I kind of want to consolidate this visit of Nashville, but include the country elements in the song, but also give it some of those top 40 hits so you can play it at like a wedding venue or a dance club in one of the nightclubs or honky tonks or whatever it might be. So just try to cross-pollinate it and paint that picture of my experience with that particular song. Some of the new songs we have coming out, they're more country driven, but there's some others that aren't. So it's a mixed breed. So we get the traditional country fans that are like, oh, that ain't country. I don't know what you're doing with that. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna start delivering some stuff for you that's more of your style. So I'll have a little bit of everything in the toolbox for everybody.
That'll shut him up.
Yeah, I'm like, shut up, man. You're so rude. And you've just made my day depressing.
Yeah.
And take it personal.
And because you didn't deal with enough unpleasant people in the music industry, you also wanted to go into real estate, which is plenty.
Yeah.
Well, how'd you get interested in that? Because we don't see a lot of musicians / real estate professionals. What's the backstory there?
I just kind of fell into it, to be honest with you. I didn't know much about it. And there was an internship opportunity, and I jumped on it. And the guy I started interning for was like, dude, this guy doesn't stop. His mind's always going. He's on 24/7, man. And he has a real creative side to him too. So you in real estate, you have to have that creative component. So I think musicians go well in the real estate industry. And I find there are quite a few closet musicians in the real estate industry. So it's just, I don't know. I enjoy both. It allows me to get real creative. Using different sides of my brain. So
you ever walk through an empty property before it's filled with furniture and you're just getting that nice echo and you're like, I got to do some scales in here, maybe get the guitar out.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, man. Or in a building with 18 to 20 foot high ceilings.
Wow.
No,
You're making these millennials' mouths water over here. He's talking about wainscoting, guys.
Homeowners.
Now, real estate's good, man. It's good. It's good. It's you don't realize it, but you see it everywhere you go, every day. When you're out and about, whether it's retail industry or office or whatever. But in Nashville, it's such a cool place, man. It's just so strange to be sitting there at like Tootsie's, drunk out of your mind, staring at a high-rise building with a massive like corporate like branding on the side of this building. But then you're standing in like history, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's just mind-blowing, to be honest with you.
And as part of your work in real estate to sort of blend together real estate and music, you've done a lot of work on the real estate side with commercial music venues. And given everything that we're all going through right now and how it's impacting commercial venues, can you tell us a little bit about what the pandemic has been like for some of the live music venues that you work with?
Oh, the live music venues have been shut down, man. So I've done deals with Brett and Eric here in Sacramento, and they started the Ace of Spades, which is a live music venue. It's the capacity's probably legally 800 to 900 people, but you can get 12 to 1,300 people in there.
Oh yeah,
so
that number's a suggestion. I know that.
Yeah, exactly. So they sold that to Live Nation and
more best practices.
And so they're an employee of Live Nation or whatever. But I did Goldfields with them, which is a country bar, Holy Diver, which is like an indie rock venue, and then we just did another one in downtown Roseville, and that's a country bar as well. But they've been hit hard, man. So City of Sacramento's been a little bit forgiving in the last 6 to 8 months, and they've allowed restaurants and bars to create their parking lots or outdoor areas into beer gardens. And a couple of their venues have huge parking lots. So it's an outdoor only beer garden, which they said they're actually making the same amount of money, if not more money now as a beer garden that they did with the indoor venues. And they've had no live music. It's just been like DJ type of music and no dancing whatsoever. But they've been hit hard, and it's sad, man. And Eric is the booking guy for Live Nation locally here. For the Ace of Spades, and he's working on getting some national acts coming through, but it's really it's tough because a lot of these artists and booking agents don't want to put somebody out there and sign some contracts for a June date, and then the state shuts it down, and they've spent all that money on marketing and contracts and putting that stuff together. So he's saying that they're shooting for September, October dates. But if anything comes up sooner, he said, dude, I'm going to plug you in. And I said, all right, I'll be the house band, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just load me up. We'll get people drinking and have a good time and get them on the dance floor. So we're working on some stuff like that right now.
What do you say to all those venues out there that are struggling? I mean, I assume ever the optimist that you're saying there's brighter days ahead. We just have to hang on. What are you telling the folks in your line of work here?
You know, we're all talking about it, trying to figure it out. All of us pull out our crystal balls, trying to figure out what's going on. It has gotten a lot better in the last 4 to 6 weeks in the industry, the real estate industry. It is. now that they're allowing what they call the older people to get their vaccines or what have you. So now that there's a foundation of confidence with that group starting to flow in, it's starting to make some of us younger folks a little bit more comfortable in waiting to get our shots or whatever. But we're seeing more activity out in the marketplace, especially here in Sacramento. We're getting a lot of rollover from the Bay Area. There's a lot of Bay Area people selling properties there. And we're seeing a lot of folks that were in the rental markets renting these super expensive apartments in San Francisco. Now that they can work remotely, they're moving into Sacramento with the money that they've saved, and they're buying houses with the cash that they've saved up while working in San Francisco. So our residential real estate market is booming. Our office market is struggling. Our retail market's struggling, but our industrial market is kind of off the hook right now, especially with the cannabis stuff going on.
And bring it to Texas, God.
I know, man. There's grow facilities out there. I mean, there's dispensaries, and there's a group called Cookies. I don't know if you have them where you're located, but they're big in Southern California. And it's a rapper by the name of Burner that started it, and now they're opening one in Sacramento, and it's just. I mean, these dispensaries have lines around the corner. Their business is just skyrocketing.
I mean, you want to talk about
medical.
you want to talk about the future of music venues.
Oh,
Have you've played a dispensary?
I played in the last time I was in Denver. We did a show on like a Saturday or Friday and Saturday night, and then Sunday we're like, what to do? And there's the dispensary called us up and say, hey, why don't you come play? Like,
You nailed
okay.
it. You know what I'm seeing now too is the dispensaries. There's a dispensary here called Colas, Kolas, and I'm buddies with one of the guys down there. And he sponsors a show here each year for the last couple of years called Aftershock. It's a rock show at Discovery Park. And this year I think Papa Roach is there among some other great headliners. But that's on one whole weekend. And then the next weekend was going to be the country concert, and they were going to sponsor that. So he was teeing it up. He's like, dude, we got you covered. It's all good. And then the promoter, I think it's Danny Weimer, Promotions, he canceled all of his country venues, but the Aftershock's staying. So we're like, oh my God, but the weed market is starting to get into the music business.
Well, it's the same way that the alcohol market has been in the music business forever, except the alcohol. I mean, after a while, it used to be that Budweiser would give you 10 or Budweiser would wrap your van and then pay for your gas if you were going on tour. And they stopped doing that. They stopped doing that 15 years ago, I guess. And if you're in a state that has legal weed and that's who has all the money right now, like that's perfect. And I play in a jam band. That should be even better.
Get
You
together
gotta
with
play
dispensary.
dispensaries, Evan, and just like sell food and beverage. Your F&B sales are going to be through the roof at one of those shows.
It's all like
my God.
Dunkaroos and Capri Suns for everybody.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Forget
And
about
churros.
selling T-shirts.
Like,
We're
I
moving
don't
ho-hos,
drink.
baby.
I'm like, I don't drink.
Yeah.
I would love to have a place that outfits me with like Cheez-Its and Dunkaroos. That'd be
Hell
dope as
yeah.
hell.
But I was running a venue in Miami. This is a decade ago. But we had a huge act coming through. We're like, all right, how are we going to afford to pay for this? And my friend who's the talent buyer, and he's like, oh, we got 30 grand from whoever, Coors or whatever. They just gave us $30,000 to do a show. And the alcohol companies used to have that money, and I guess the growers have that money now.
Don't let them fool you. Those alcohol companies still have it. They just allocate it somewhere else.
Yeah, they're holding on to it. That's clear.
Yeah, but get together with dispensaries. I think that's where it's going, man. The dispensaries are kicking it up, and they're sponsoring shows. And
Well,
yeah.
I will say we didn't get paid for that dispensary show in money.
Hey,
We had to wait to leave the state for a day or so to.
hey, I heard. There was a Snoop Dogg video shot with. There was a rapper here in California. Burner was in it as well. Actually, it was shot. Burner was in it. Snoop Dogg, and there was another guy. But the other guy, I can't remember his name, was the head dude. And Snoop Dogg had a cameo in it for just a few minutes. You can Google it or whatever. And I think they paid him in weed. They just said, hey, man, come down here. And they gave him a few minutes in the venue, and he walked out with a couple bags of weed. He did his lines, and he bailed. He was out.
Nice work if you can get it, man.
Yeah, hey, whatever it takes, man.
Oh my! I did not have 20 minutes of weed talk in my show sheet here, but that was clearly an oversight on my part because this is tremendous.
It's where the music business is going. They're in Indian casinos, right? I mean, Indian casinos have huge venues now, and they're building larger ones. So I don't know if they pay you in tokens or poker chips or whatever, but
It's good money though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can find out more about our guest work, viewers / listeners, by going to DaveHerreraLive.com. You've given us so much great info here, Dave. I feel bad that we didn't actually plug you till the very end, but yes.
It doesn't matter.
The music's great. He's got so much of it. He's got a new documentary series coming out on YouTube. Check it all out, DaveHerreraLive.com. Before we let you go, Dave, one last question. Do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
Man, I'm looking for tips myself, but I've just been persistent and just making more music. I found just making more music and more content is where you got to focus. And we're going to continue to do that, continue to release music, and then just work on getting shows and doing as many shows as we can to get people back out there and knock the dust off the dance floors and the stages. Support your local musicians, all your musicians. I mean, we can't let the creative part of all of us dwindle away. So stick with it.
Thank you so much, Dave. This has been awesome. Don't be a stranger. You ever want to come back, you come and talk to us again. Clearly, we have a really good time when Dave Herrera shows up. Congratulations on the new song and all your success.
Yeah, thanks so much. And check out the shit show on YouTube. Well, first episode's out. We'll release the next one in probably a week and a half.
Nice.
It's just kind of like the behind the scenes of me and my buddies. And we're a bit wild and crazy. So hopefully it relates. Just let your hair down and live life.
Cool. Love it. Dave Herrera, everybody. One more time at that website. Check him out at DaveHerreraLive.com. Oh, what a cool dude. I'm in a good mood now. I'd never thought about playing dispensaries as a gig, but that makes so much sense.
The one we played was great. They live streamed the show. There wasn't a lot of people there. They live streamed the whole show, and it's a thing that they did every week. Like, hey, Friday, tune to our YouTube page or whatever.
I mean, it reminds me of like, when you used to, like, when we had small venues that could take in a band that also maybe had like coffee and like treats and were more like cafes,
they had treats there.
Yeah, and it's like it's getting back to
plenty of
that, which is nice.
This isn't quite like the ice cream shop we used to play in back in the day.
I mean, look, the dispensary we played didn't have a stage. Like, it's just like, hey, here's the corner. We'll push some of this stuff out of the way, set up, and let's go. It was incredible. It was a very fun show.
That's very, very cool. Got lots of great guests coming up here on subsequent weeks. Next week's guest, I adore this person. Katie Zaccardi is going to be joining us. She's the host of the Out to Be podcast. Talks a lot and consults with artists on building a sustainable music career, promoting self-care and wellness, and probably something that we all need to adhere to.
Yes.
And so we're all going to talk to Katie Zaccardi about that and try to be more sustainable creators. Before we go, guys, I did want to come to you with sort of a Crimson update. People are eager to hear about how the album's coming along. I think on our very first live stream, we talked a little bit about the album you guys are putting together. I saw, I think, a TikTok video that maybe went across my For You page a couple days ago with an album update. Let us all know, how is that going?
It's been great, and I really love the kind of thing that we're able to do where he's just literally in that other room and we can hook up a cable to the sound system and then I could just hear him do takes. And so you've been dropping some guitars on our cover.
A lot of guitars on a cover that we can't mention. That's the surprise.
Yeah. It's sort of a surprise, but we'll like keep sort of dropping hints on TikTok, and if you can figure it out, you get an internet cookie. I don't know. But it's super fun, and it's just kind of cool to feel like you could just make this incredibly indulgent thing happen on a recording and you feel incredibly powerful. That you could just make a creative decision and then you just make it happen, and that's really cool.
It's weird for me because I came along like right at the end of the old school, right, where you went to the studio and then you recorded your tracks and then now everybody has a studio in their bedroom, just like I do a studio in the bedroom. I don't even have studio monitors. I can just track the headphones in there, and my guitar rig is such that I can just run it direct and it sounds incredible. So I don't have to pay for studio time, which means I can like take 30 takes and mess something up 100 times, and I'm not worried that I'm paying an hourly rate to some dude. Like, and it's hilarious coming from somebody who's in his 30s. Like, anybody who's 30 or younger is like, yeah, that's how we make music. Like, nah, that's not how we used to make music. It used to be very expensive.
Boy, and we're going to sound like crazy old people where it's like, the man would pull his faders on a giant 50-foot long board. Yeah, okay, it's okay, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to get up and change the tape. It's only 20 minutes long. I think those 24-track takes are only 20 minutes long. It's terrible.
Oh, Grandpa's tired. he's saying weird things again.
Tape is what goes on presents.
It is so weird for me. Even when I go to recording studios now that still are in those recording studios, and you still see that 50-foot long Starship Enterprise looking recording console.
Yes.
And then it's just some dude on his MacBook that's doing everything, and that thing is and the console's collecting dust.
That's literally it. Well, use the preamps in the console to your interface to your MacBook. But yeah, I've watched a lot of like home studio builds lately on YouTube, and it's like, look at our $20 million facility, and we have reverb tanks built into the air ducts, and this bathroom has mic inputs because you need mic inputs in the bathroom. And it's all and yes, and that's all very expensive and cool, but it's all running off of a $900 Mac Mini. The entire studio is a $900 computer. Like that's where we're at, man. It's
wild.
awesome.
It's great.
It's great for someone in your position.
It's incredibly freeing too, because I remember us like trying to dial in like, you know, what we like to, what the kids nowadays refer to as gent, but we refer to as the jug noise, and trying to get the perfect jug. For Crimson took like, you know, you had to try out a bunch of different guitars and like rent amplifiers from other people and like try to dial stuff in like in a studio environment.
God, my college band, we used guitar amps that belonged to a very famous band that happened to also be recording in that studio. They didn't know.
Wow.
And they never will. They're incredibly nice people and a very good band and very famous.
Yeah.
Is it too early? I'm almost positive the answer is going to be yes to this, or else you would have said it. But is it too early to come at us with perhaps an estimated target date range?
Not gonna happen.
I am going to go the based on our discussion last week about expectation management and announcing creative things and letting people's expectations build up in their head. We're gonna do the basically like Elder Scrolls equivalent. We're just gonna show some splash art, some concept art, and then we're gonna tell you, hey, this is a thing we're working on. We'll show you some cute stuff every once in a while. Follow at Elisa Rockdock on TikTok for more progress updates. But other than that, when it's done,
You'll know.
We'll let you know.
What's going to happen first? Breath of the Wild 2 launch or Crimson album?
Neither have been announced, so it's just a toss-up at this point.
We might take bets on this.
I would say
Get a pool
Crimson EP
going.
only because the way that we've been creating music now has been so exciting that we want to make more music faster. And so but we want to get through this thing first and just like get all of these songs just out and just like exercise these particular demons and hopefully become more prolific. So I think there's more of a little bit of a fire under our butts for this one. Nintendo, take as much time as you need. The first Breath of the Wild, perfect game. Take as much time as you need. You let us know when you're done with that. We'll let you know when we're
No
done with
rush.
this EP. Not to say that they are at all equivalent in quality or life-changing capacity, but Crimson will be done when
I don't know,
it's done.
these jugs will change your life.
That's true.
Crimson will be more affordable anyway.
He is pretty good.
You guys have all kinds of other cool projects coming up. And before we close, I want you to like tell people about them because they're awesome and cool. You're doing cool stuff with video game companies, and tell us about it.
Cool. So first things first, on Thursday, you'll be able to watch the replay if you are listening to this on the podcast. But if you visit the Rocksmith YouTube page tomorrow, Thursday, Evan and I will be showing up on the show to show off a couple of songs in Rocksmith that we are using as inspiration as we record the EP. So I will be sitting in the chat for that.
It'll be on February 25th.
It'll be February 25th. Evan, you have a show. You're actually playing guitar on a show, and I'm very excited.
Try More Mojo is we're headed south to Austin to a studio called Purple Bee TV. Purple Bee TV. I don't know if it's .com. They have it. Just search for that on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, and they live stream to all the platforms. Friday night, 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm really bad at things. It's going to be another great live show. We've been rehearsing a bunch, and we haven't been able to play a show, and we're just excited to
play.
I'm excited to not be in the apartment for a night. I
Yeah.
guess it's a really good thing.
His band's really good, people.
His band's really good, and
So
and
good.
I will
So
shout
good.
out Purple Bee in terms of just like production quality of the cameras, as well as the sound quality. It is like one of the live streams that I always like to point people to.
A lot of the graphical stuff they do is wild. They're like overlaying all these images and everything, and I'm looking in the control room like, where's that happening? Like, oh no, we pipe a feed to this guy who's at his place in downtown Austin, and he just overlays it and sends it back, and then we stream it like that. I'm like, what do you what? How do you?
That's wild.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's really cool.
Awesome.
Even if
awesome.
the band was terrible, it would look great. Who cares?
Check out all that stuff, viewers / listeners. You're going to love it. And while you're checking out stuff and promoting stuff and, expanding your horizons and things that you can consume, how about you throw us a subscription? Go to twitch.tv/breakthebusiness. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. All the places where we are. Check us out. Let's keep this going. We want to build this community and share some great insight with all the indie creators out there. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Kair. Follow Evan at Evan Lamb Guitar. Follow Elisa at Elisa Rock Doc. This has been a treat, everybody. Thank you all so much for checking out Break the Business. We'll see you next week.